This is Renee from Little Village Homestead, and Miss Mo is here today.
Hi, everybody.
Okay, we got our computer here.
What's it telling you?
That's from my channel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Today we're going to yak.
Yeah.
We're gonna discuss ways to save money at the grocery store and save money stocking your pantry and different things like that. Maybe share some recipes and ideas. And I made that video last night about my meatloaf, my signature meatloaf with the stuffing. Yeah, the box
The
stuffing.
box stuffing.
Not tell them what you told me you use.
I do have a recipe for meatloaf, and it has the stovetop stuffing and cream of mushroom soup and a few other ingredients, and it's very tasty because in the stuffing mix they have herbs and spices. You know, you don't have to add a whole extra bunch. You know, and it's different for a change than just the regular meatloaf with cracker crumbs, or some people use oatmeal. I never really cared for meatloaf with the oatmeal in it. I don't know how you did yours. But,
No. I've almost always done mine with this. I learned that years ago.
Or bread that's soaked in milk. Some people do it with the bread crumbs soaked in milk.
Yeah.
And meatloaf is one of those things, either you're good at it or you're not good at it. And I always made horrible meatloafs, and here my brother had to show me how to make a good meatloaf. I was overcooking it. It was awful.
Oh, we learn as we go.
And hot meatloaf sandwiches, if you've never had one of those, or grilled meatloaf sandwich, oh, they're awesome because mashed potatoes and gravy left over with the meatloaf between the bread, and that it's very good for a lunch.
You're gonna have them drooling.
Yeah.
Cold meatloaf sandwiches are good too.
In my old age, I drool anyway. I never thought that would happen, you know, but gosh, when you get older, everything goes south.
Literally.
Literally.
That's cute. Yeah. Well, they're probably dying to find out how the sauerkraut's doing too, because I did tell them we were going to do a part 2.
Yeah, well, the sauerkraut has been in, it'll be 3 weeks on Sunday, and it's coming pretty close. I taste it every few days, and it's doing well. It's starting to ferment really, really good, so it depends on how much sourness we like. I think it's going to be ready in another week.
Ooh, then we'll do the part 2 and check it out.
Yeah.
That's one thing I can't. You said you had trouble with meatloaf?
Yeah.
I tried sauerkraut one year and it was just a flop.
I know. I've had bad years of making sauerkraut, but I think a lot of it is the temperature has to be just kind of right in your house, you know. Old timers used to just like set it aside in the woodshed or wherever and let it just go. And if a little mold gets on top, you just scrape it off because it's fermented. So
yeah, that won't hurt enough. It was like cheese.
Yeah, kind of like cheese. So
I can't do sauerkraut. I never have good luck with sauerkraut, and I never have good luck with pickles.
Fermented.
And I've got some beautiful pickle recipes.
Fermented pickles are kind of the same, and it's difficult. It's here again. It's what's the bacteria in the air that makes the fermentation in the pickles and the sauerkraut. And it was funny because I was reading about different types of fermented foods, and they said, well, you need this fermenting vessel, okay? And I'm thinking, what is a fermenting vessel? I have a crock. I mean, can I make my sauerkraut in a crock after everybody's been doing it for a couple hundred years? So I thought, I'm sticking with my crock because I have no clue what a fermenting vessel is. It's something maybe New Age. I don't know.
Some kind of a lid or something.
Yeah, something.
I wouldn't trust it. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but I'm not good enough at making that
something
stuff.
Weird. I love sauerkraut. In fact, I'm going to try a little bit of the kraut today when I go home from Renee's, and I'm going to make sauerkraut soup.
Ooh.
And I already made it calls for some cream of mushroom soup, But when I found out that our Campbell soup is mostly GMO products in it, I started making my own. You could use, if you've dried mushrooms, you can rehydrate them and use dried mushrooms to make just a little white sauce with the mushrooms. But I had some fresh mushrooms I needed to use, so I made my base. And then it calls for carrots, celery, onion, potatoes, and then in your mushroom soup mixture, and then at the end you can add a cup of sauerkraut and a little Polish sausage to it.
Oh gosh, that'd be good.
I know, it sounds really good. My sister said, "Do we get to try your invention for supper?" I said, "Yeah, we could try it."
Invention.
She's pretty game.
Recipe in the making.
Yeah. She'll try anything, and she'll be like my great-grandson when I ask him if he wants something to eat. He goes, "Grandma, I really like that, but I just don't want any right now." That's what she'll say. "Well, it's really good, but I can't eat it all."
Aw, that's
So
cute.
you never want to hurt the cook's feelings. That's one thing I learned early on, being a cook and a chef in restaurants. You don't ever hurt their feelings, because that's a bad thing to do. You tell them it's good no matter how it tastes.
Exactly.
And then, because they've slaved over what they're doing. And they feel proud of it no matter what it is. And people learn over the years to use correct spices with correct foods and stuff, so.
Yeah. I'm putting a spice and herb guide in my cookbook
Oh,
too.
nice. What spices go with what
yeah,
foods?
what pairs well with, and what they all go good together, and what
Yeah.
pairs well with, you know.
Yes. Sometimes a spice just crashes with a certain food
Ooh,
and just
mine is-
does not taste good.
I can't eat cilantro.
Oh, and see, my favorite is
No.
cilantro. The more, the better.
I was in Texas when we were driving semi, and I call them roach coaches. You know, they go around with the food carts.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
and drive around with them.
Yeah.
Anyway, I went and we were delivering, and he was parked on the edge of the parking lot, and I ran over there thinking, oh my gosh, something good for once, you know, instead of truck stop food. So he had shrimp in there.
Oh.
Big, beautiful pieces of shrimp, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll eat that. You know, sounds good. It was good, but the first bite, I know it was good, but it was loaded with cilantro.
Oh.
It ruined the whole thing.
Yeah.
Ruined the whole thing. I couldn't eat it.
That's what people say. Either you love it
Or you
hate it. And
Avocados are the same way.
yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
in between.
You know, I use lentils for soup and stuff frequently, and a lot of that type of food calls for cilantro also. And I just love it, and thank goodness my family does, so, you know, I put
The rest
it
of the
in.
family like it, but I never cook with it because
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't.
Yeah.
It ruins it all for me.
Well, you know, even, which is part of the coriander, which is the plant that cilantro comes out of, the leaves, that has kind of a different taste too as a spice, coriander, and you can use it in pickles and stuff, and it's a different flavor. Doesn't taste like the cilantro itself.
Huh. Anyway, I got this list up here. These are all the little tips I got in my, well, I'm not done with it, you know, it's
Yeah.
still in the process, but there's a bunch of little tips up there that I added to my cookbook for saving money on groceries, but I know you've got tons of them too.
Well, I was thinking, you know, when you thumb through women's magazines or cooking magazines, whatever, and they'll give you a recipe, and then sometimes at the end they'll give you a shopping list to get at the store for making a particular recipe. And one thing you should probably do is go to your pantry and make sure, like, a lot of your staples in that recipe are things you already have. So you're already half there with the recipe. You know, maybe you need some fresh items or a little piece of meat or chicken or something to fill that recipe out. So, yeah.
That's the best thing anyway, when you, before you even leave your house to go to the grocery store, you need to check your freezer, your pantry, and your fridge.
Right.
And, because that reduces waste.
It
That
does.
way you're not going to the store and buying what you already have.
Exactly, and keep a running grocery list on the refrigerator or whatever, that you run out of stuff or getting close to, then you write it down and you're able to pick it up at the store.
Yep,
We're
exactly.
fortunate here because where we live, and of course I live closer than Renee does, to a city called Traverse City, Michigan. I live about 30 miles from there, and they have a market that has a lot of bulk foods. And
Oriana.
Oriana.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and then they have a new store called Lucky's, which they have a lot of bulk foods. For instance, the almond butter at our organic store called Oriana is about $13.95 a pound for almond butter that you grind fresh.
You almost can't afford to shop there.
Yeah, you go to Lucky's, which is, I think it's a base store from Boulder, Colorado or whatever. And their almond butter, the day I was there, was on sale for $5.95 a pound.
Where's this place at?
Lucky's is just as you're going down into Traverse City, right in the old Squirrels.
Logan's Landing?
No, come down Big McCrae Hill, right, Outback Steakhouse.
Oh,
It's
oh,
right there, the old theater
Okay,
area.
yep.
It's in the old theater. But they
Right there
have,
across from Lowell's.
yes, they have a lot of bulk items, very, very reasonable. Peanut butter can be on sale for $1.99 a pound sometimes. And it's fresh ground peanuts, and that's what we love. No sugar, no honey, no molasses in it. So, and they have, some of their stuff might be a little bit outpriced, but
that's everywhere you go.
yeah, the
You
bulk
have to
items,
hunt for the bargains.
you do. And
That's
as
why
long
they
as
call it bargain hunting.
yeah, yeah, as long as we're in the city, shopping or whatever, you kind of make the rounds within a few miles, looking for, like Renee said, the best bargains and bulk flour. Renee lives close to the Mennonite store here, and they have their stuff in packages, but it's bulk. And they have the best flours, spices.
do they ever.
It's amazing. And I even, which I thought was great, I bought their gelatin in a package, about that size, instead of just the little boxes from the store. And it takes a tablespoon or two to make what you'd get in a box from the store. I don't know, $2 or $3 for a package, and it's good.
Their prices are reasonable.
They are.
Some things are a little pricier, but that's everywhere you go.
It is, and when
just like the potatoes I bought.
Yeah.
Remember I shared some with you? That's another thing. When you want to buy bulk and you don't need, like I bought a 25-pound bag of dried potato slices.
Yeah.
Well, that 25-pound bag would last me about 4 years.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's some good trading material. I bought that entire bag and I traded some to, my friend Willie for, I think I traded him potatoes for powdered milk.
Oh yeah.
You know what? Powdered milk is ridiculous in a store.
It is. It's almost prohibitive in cost, and if you can go in shares with friends, like Renee and I were talking,
Exactly.
if she gets, because we use not a lot of potatoes, but those dried potatoes are just awesome in cheesy potatoes, scallop potatoes. I mean, you could throw them in some soup.
Yep, and if you get boxes, I know a lot of people don't like to buy box stuff, but you know what I do? I'm not too good for it. Anyway, you can doctor up anything.
Yeah.
But I will get, if they have like Hamburger Helper on sale for 70 cents a box, by gosh, I'm buying a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
And you take, if you've ever made a box of Hamburger Helper, which I don't want to be insulting you because you do everything I make.
Well, I might have made a box once.
Yeah, but when you do it, it's like you never get, and I know a lot of these people relate, you never get enough potatoes in it.
Oh no,
So you always have to think, either you're cutting up a fresh potato to throw in there, which just totally destroys your balance.
Yeah.
I just take a little handful of my dehydrated potatoes and there you go.
Great idea.
But back to what I was saying, now I forgot what I was saying.
Well, I think, sharing with bulk foods, like beans and peas. Like yesterday now I had a bunch of green split peas. They'd been in the jar maybe couple months, 6 months. You know, they'll last for years, but I thought I need to use those up. So I cooked a 30-gallon kettle full of split pea soup, and I'm going to can that. I'll probably get 10, 15 pints out of what I have. I don't have room in the freezer, but I have the pressure cooker in the pantry right now, so I thought I'll can that this afternoon or tomorrow.
That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, and you know, then you have it takes 90 minutes in the pressure cooker, but if you don't have room in the freezer and anything happens, you will have it in your pantry, like any kind of emergency. You could eat it cold if you had to.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we shouldn't, it calls for boiling it 10 minutes, but if it's sealed well, when you pressure cooker it for the proper amount of time,
Yeah.
it's usually safe. So.
Yeah, exactly. I've done pea soup before.
Or you can turn on your grill and boil it in a pan for 10 minutes before you eat it if you're afraid of it being something wrong with it when it's cold.
Well, you know what, Miss Mo? I always tell them when I'm canning, if you don't want botulism out of your jars, don't put it in.
Exactly. That's
what I
why
always say.
it's important to sterilize everything.
Everything.
Everything you do with
botulism.
canning. Yeah.
Yep.
And it's surprising how folks years ago would do open kettle canning, for instance, like with tomatoes. You put them in a kettle, you boil them, then you put them in the jars and they seal, and you put them on the shelf. Well, that was okay then because the acidity had not been bred out of our tomatoes like it is today with all the hybrids we're getting. So we don't have as much acid in these newer types of tomatoes, and that's why they recommend water bath.
Especially people that don't know.
Correct.
And they find a good deal on low acid tomatoes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if, you know what, when you're a young cook or just starting out, you know, I've read. I read everything I can, and you learn sometimes by trial and error, but you don't want your family's health at risk.
I'll tell you what, one case of botulism can kill you.
It can.
And
I
you
know.
certainly don't want to take a chance and think, oh, that's fine, it'll be fine, because it might not be.
If you've ever had food poisoning,
Oh, yes, I have.
which I've had it 2 times, you are more prone to it, they say. You know, the powers that be, whoever, that you can be more prone to it. If there's any kind of little germ in that food, you may get it again quicker than if you've never had it.
Yeah.
And that's a bad thing. You get food poisoning.
No, that's not fun. I've had
No.
it before. I've had it before, and I was going to say something too, and I forgot.
Oh, I hate it when my
Just
mind,
get rid of them all.
everything just runs out of my mind.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. Back to splitting and buying bulk.
Mm-hmm.
If you come across, like, say your family doesn't eat beans, okay? But you see a 25-pound bag of beans, or somebody even gives it to you, or sells it to you for a few bucks. By gosh, take it. Or buy it for that few bucks, because that's what I mean, where you can trade.
Yeah.
Somebody else might love beans, and you can say, well, you know what, I can trade you these beans for this, we need milk or butter or whatever. Yeah, trading and buying in bulk and splitting stuff, like that 25-pound bag of potatoes that I got. Now the next time, and this time I was looking for people who wanted to, go in on it with me, because I didn't need that many, but that's the only way they sell it.
Well, when you do it next time, I'd love to.
Yeah.
I'd love to go in.
There's a couple others too that want to. So,
Yeah.
and that's a good way to save money too.
Because dried food, the weight, the water is out of the food, so the weight is so much less than whole food or canned food. So when it's dried, there's not much weight to it, and you have a lot.
That 25-pound bag of potatoes was nearly as big as this table, surface-wise. Laying on there. Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah,
it was huge.
Yeah, the main thing, I guess, like Renee was talking about, a weekly meal plan. I've always been a planner. My children, when they were growing up, and I raised big gardens. We raised our animals. I did all the butchering. I taught my husband how to do some, and he helped, and my one daughter helped. They weren't squeamish. If you're going to eat meat, it's something that you have to do, and it's not I don't find great pleasure in that, The only thing I was thrilled about basically was I raised that animal. I knew what it ate, and it was stress-free. I didn't make pets out of them, but they were stress-free, and I can't, when you see this on some TV shows, they try to keep the animal calm, and I know eating meat for some people is gross, that they don't care for that, but
That's
yeah.
We're not pushing them to eat meat, not in any
I've
way.
always been a meat eater, but I love beans and lentils and rice and stuff like that, but every now and then, I have to have a good piece of steak or...
Yeah. If you raise your own, that's nice. But you know what? When you're trying to save money on groceries, going, like, giving up one or having one meatless meal, one vegetarian meal a week.
Even two if you can squeeze it in, you know, because sometimes with children, little bits of, if you buy some bulk meat, for instance, like chicken, and if you buy a 10-pound, like Renee buys 10 pounds of legs and thighs at a time, and she'll can the legs and thighs or make soup, or, you can make a lot of meals. Like I buy chicken breast, and then I cut that strip off the big part of the breast, which is the tenderloin of the chicken, and then those are separate from the main part of the breast, and I'll cut ends off the breast to use for a chicken stir fry, and then I'll make those breasts in half. You can pound them out, roll up a chicken breast, put a little stuffing in them, and bake them. I mean, there's just a number of things you can do with a package of chicken.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
And if you give up 1 pound of meat a week, 1 pound, people, 1 pound of meat a week will save you about $311 a year. That's like a whole month's worth of groceries.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like a lot until you go to spend it on groceries.
Exactly, because like we have Sam's Club too in Traverse City. Now you're looking at double packages of meat and bigger cuts than if you would go to a regular grocery store. But when you see $27 on a chuck roast that's this big, maybe there's 2 chuck roasts in there, you can get quite a few meals out of that. It's like $27 for a roast. It's like, when did this happen? I don't even know when all this took place, but the price of meat is almost out of reach for people like us. That's why we try to save as much as we can.
Oh my gosh, yes, not only that, but when you make meals out of that roast, don't use meat as your main course.
Correct.
Use it as an ingredient.
Bits and pieces. Stir fry with broccoli and beef and ginger and...
Yeah, potatoes are filling and beans are filling, and they're all pretty cheap.
Yeah.
They're all affordable, and you can really make a heck of a meal and just use a little bit of meat in it instead of making, gorge on, but who doesn't want to gorge on a 10-ounce steak?
Well, I have to admit once. I was at the store one day last year and I saw these steaks in there and they were positively obscene because they were about this thick and about that big with a big long bone on it. It looked like the hindquarter of a buffalo or something. I don't know, but I bought it.
You bought it.
I put it on the grill and I hate to admit it, I had to eat the whole thing. I was so ashamed, but I thought I've never tasted anything so good in my life.
You couldn't quit eating it.
No, and it's been a whole year, you see, so that was my beef for the year, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, sometimes things are just so good you can't help yourself.
Because, even 3 ribeye steaks from Sam's Club is $30-some. I mean, I know you could probably get a serving out of 2 servings out of 1 steak, but if you're going to eat a steak, you kind of want to eat as much as you can. So
yeah, I had. It's funny when you talk like that because I did that mashed potato, the gourmet instant mashed potato video. Love it. And anyway, I had one of my friends on my channel said I'd have to be careful with that because I'd eat the whole pan. That's me and rice.
Yeah. Oh yes.
I could live on rice.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to have anything in it.
Yeah. Rice.
I
buy white rice. I like basmati rice, jasmine rice. They're fruity, flavorful. And if you've ever made like rice and broccoli with, it should have Velveeta. That's one of those cheeses that And mushroom soup, if you like the canned. I understand you can buy canned if it's organic without GMO in it. You know, I just like I said, I just make a quick white sauce with sautéed mushrooms for that type of stuff
Oh
now.
yeah, and white cheese. I'm gonna show them my can that I got.
Oh yeah.
I got this on sale. This was at a discount and it's not outdated. Well, it doesn't matter even if it is. It's still good.
It'll
But,
stay for a couple years.
oh yeah. $2.99 for this number 10 can of white cheddar cheese sauce. $2.99. And I thought, you know, cheese will freeze well. My one friend said, oh, just can it up after you open it. Well, no, we don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know Miss Mo doesn't. I don't. I've been canning 30 some years. You've been canning 50
About
plus
50
years.
some years.
And neither one of us would ever can dairy. It's
No.
just not worth it. This will freeze well. So when I open it up and use it, I can put it in other containers. And sometimes you can even get the jars for freezing.
Yes, yeah, you can. They're a straight-sided pint and a half, and I know Target sells them, but that might be too much for a small family. You can use a straight-sided,
Yeah.
wide-mouth pint. It would work perfect. Leave that much room in the top,
Yeah.
so it has room to expand in the freezer, and that'll work. And you could also, when you open this can of cheese, you could make several casseroles. If you have room in your freezer,
Oh boy.
chicken and rice casserole with
Yes.
cheese, this would be perfect. And
Yeah.
you just have them already, you know. As you open a large can, plan on doing, say, 3-4 different kinds of meals and
Right.
put them in the freezer.
Yep, is that what they say? Cook once and cook big?
Yeah,
Exactly. That saves time and money.
cook once for the week.
But
also.
I wanted to tell them that this was not on my grocery list.
Oh.
Of course not. But I always tell them, I don't really have a grocery list because I just go for the sales. And I
Correct.
know in my head what's in my pantry.
Yeah.
I could probably draw my pantry on paper.
Yeah,
You know. We all could.
I pretty much can too. No, I look and check if I've used canned food. I check it periodically to make sure, you know, what do I need to can the next time. And of course, I'm a die-hard person every year because I grow older. I think, I'm not going to can next year.
Sure. Yes, it's in
Come
your blood.
spring, it's like it just runs in my blood. You got to go get the jars and the lids and start washing
Oh,
jars
yeah.
and getting ready to can for the year.
And you're
So-
excited.
Oh yes, it's like a garden. You can't stop the excitement. You're like a kid at Christmas time.
Yeah.
I mean, and then I've done it for so many years. It's just like I love it. It's my passion. A garden and canning to take care of my family.
Yeah.
You know, and
Exactly.
like the Proverbs woman, you know, she gets up early and takes care of her family. She goes to the marketplace and she's called blessed by her family. And I know maybe a lot of people don't look at it that way for women in this day and age. But I've always been pretty independent. And nobody was going to walk on me,
No.
even
me
though
neither.
it might have happened a few times.
Brush your back off and keep
Yeah.
going. That's what we do.
Yeah, I always say tomorrow's another day. You get back up and you do it all over again, no matter how hard things get sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going through a rough patch in my life, and with my husband having memory problems, and it's such an uncharted territory. We never know until you're going through it what can happen.
Yes.
And every day is different, and that's what I tell people. If in the garden you have a failure, you always say, well, there's always next year.
Yep. Yep.
So you might have to make another plan and buy an extra 40 pounds of beans for the year. I don't
Find
know.
something good to trade for them.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
That's what
I've
you
always
do.
tried to keep or stay optimistic about everything. You know, raising children and the things that go on with our children, our grandchildren. Yeah, it's tough sometimes.
Boy, the other day our heat went out in the middle of the night,
Oh,
and
boy.
I thought, oh my gosh, there's no way we could afford to replace the furnace. Now, And of all the times, it's already snowing outside now,
It's
isn't it?
been snowing.
Been snowing.
Before I came over to Renee's, it was snowing.
Oh boy, did I pray over that. And it wound up being just the thermostat on the wall.
Oh.
$40 part. It's
Thank
like,
goodness.
oh, thank you,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yep, where were we at? We talked, we have it all.
Yeah.
Anyway, plan your meals according to what's on sale.
Mm-hmm.
When you sit down to do your meal plan, do it in front of your computer. If you don't have a computer, get your Sunday paper. That's the best place to start, your Sunday paper. And start scanning, scouring that paper for sales. And chances are you're going to be able to plan a good few meals according to what's on sale.
Right.
It's going to save you a whole lot of money. And then you make your shopping list according to your meal plan. That's according to what's on sale.
Correct.
The sales are going to dictate your meals. And stick to that shopping list. But when you do that, also make sure you add a little bit, allow for a little bit, like $10, maybe $20 you can spare for your pantry, just your pantry.
Yeah.
And dedicate that $20 to strictly whatever's on sale for your pantry staples. That works good too.
Yeah, I know now soon, because I won't be able to go out and work it around the yard and in the garden. I'm going to start baking bread again, and maybe some of you folks have done that bread in less than 5 minutes. Have you done that?
No.
It's the Artisan bread in your Dutch oven.
Oh, yes, I have done that.
Yeah, I don't know if any of you have tried it. It's simple. It's just rising.
It would be good for a beginner.
Yeah, flour, salt, and water, and it rises from the bacteria in the air, the good bacteria, so it's basically like fermentation. Now, if you've ever seen in the store these fancy artisan breads at $8 a loaf,
Oh, yeah.
it kind of makes you cry. And you can make it. You can make a loaf
for pennies.
Yeah, for pennies.
Pennies.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
and you can put fruit and nuts into them. Like I love to put cranberries and walnuts and even like pecans. Renee gave me a big bag of pecans that they picked up in
North Carolina.
She had them in the freezer, and I started cracking some, and they're delicious.
Aren't they beautiful?
Yeah, they're really beautiful. So, when you do stuff like that, nuts are even expensive in the store.
I was on my hands and knees in North Carolina in a gas yard, a mirror gas yard, under their great big pecan tree, and John's screaming at me, "Come on, we got things to do." I said, "Oh no, I gotta gather these."
There's
I
nuts.
was literally a squirrel gathering nuts. I was on my hands and knees. Well, before the end of it, John was helping me because he knew I wasn't going to go back to work. We weren't leaving until I got all I wanted out of there. So he was on his hands and knees digging around helping me.
Hurry up, we gotta get out of here.
I wound up with like 7 or 8 gallon bags of them.
I know, I've cracked all of those, so. Well, folks, it's a sad story today. You know the black walnuts that we labored over, shucking them, washing them. I dried them out on the back by my shed, and I went out to get them in.
More tea. You need more tea?
I might have a little bit more. Thanks, Renee. And anyway, I noticed a few were missing. And I'm thinking, what in the world? I never saw a squirrel around. We had one squirrel last year by the bird feeder. But then I put them in the box because they needed to go in the shed to dry out some more. So I put them in the box. And a day or two later, I came back to check them, and more walnuts were missing. And I'm thinking, oh boy, Renee's going to be upset because we won't have any walnuts to crack and show you all. Anyway, I put them in the mesh onion bag to bring them in the house, and I left one just in case. And sure enough, I think it was a gopher, got in that shed and was just carrying off those walnuts.
He's going to eat like a fat rat this year.
Yeah, you see their little cheeks full of nuts. Or we still have about, out of that half or bucket, we have about this many in the mesh bag to crack. So at least all was not lost. It's like, I just hate it when the squirrels.
Well, you said that in the video. You usually got to fight them for them.
My brother.
They just let us do the work. And
I know. he said when my brother has walnut trees on his farm he planted, and he always gives me a bag for Christmas, already shucked out, they're already dried. And he said in the driveway, whenever he was doing the walnuts, the squirrels would pop up out of somewhere, and he'd have to run and take the broom or whatever and shoo them away because they were carrying his nuts off. It's like so hilarious. So,
Aw.
yeah.
Well, maybe next year.
Yeah.
There's always next year.
There's
Remember, we
always
just
next
said
year.
that.
I know. I'm thinking, how did people survive when they grew their
They ate
gardens?
squirrel and gophers.
I have to be honest with you. I thought I have a BB gun, but I'm not a. My grandmother.
No, I couldn't do that. I'd shoot the windows out next door, probably.
She lived in Missouri and Iowa at the turn of the century, and she had to carry her gun with her as she hung clothes out because the snakes were pretty thick there, and they're called Copperheads.
Oh, those are nasty little critters.
And
they're mean.
she was a dead-eye shot with her gun and could kill the Copperhead snakes. And
they don't give you any warning. We used to have to worry about them in North Carolina.
Correct.
They don't get. They're not like a rattlesnake to give you warning.
Not those.
Them nasty little things just bite you.
Yeah, they do. And she could shoot them quick because of the children being around. So those women, I don't know today. Sometimes with people, I guess we were raised
differently.
Well, we didn't. Yeah, we didn't have a whole lot, so you just made the best of what you had. And
make do with what you have.
You make do with what you have, and you have to be flexible in what you're doing. And if something doesn't work out, there's always tomorrow or next year.
That's one of the best things to save money. Make do with what you have.
Make do, and if you don't have one ingredient, substitute another. Are you gonna?
I got a whole
substitution
section of substitutions that's going in my cookbook.
That's
yep.
good.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And yep. And don't. I always tell them in here too. I got it written down in here. Don't be afraid of off-brand or generic items.
Oh no, because they have to be up to the government standard of food safety.
Yep.
So,
and not only that, they taste just as good, if not better, than some of your national name brands.
Exactly, you're paying for the name is what you're doing, and. I know when our children, we have 3 daughters, and when they were smaller, they never wanted to help in the garden. They were teenagers. We had a huge garden. And so they'd say, no, we're busy, whatever. And I said, no, put your bathing suits on, take off your high heels, come out to the garden, and pretend you're sunbathing. And so they would, and they would have to help shuck peas and snap beans. And they never really liked it. But because we were all a family, everybody shared in helping get the harvest or, do different things. They just learned as teenagers, and they just loved to tell people, gosh, I was raised on a farm, and we did this and that, and my mom she butchered hogs and made her own lard and sausage, and they'll look at my daughter and they'll say, huh? So
don't you love the cracklings from rendered down lard?
Oh yes, the cracklings from the
lard.
lard.
When my kids were little, I used to, because we didn't have much. When my kids were little, I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together.
Oh yeah.
That's how I learned all this.
Yeah.
Anyway, I used to make bean soup with those cracklings.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and they would just gobble them up. Yeah. But my uncle had a pig farm. And I used to help him with the pigs, so every year he'd always give me a pig. And it would be anywhere from 200 to 300 pounds of meat in my freezer for the winter. And it's like, you betcha I'll work.
Speaking of pigs, we raised a big old sow one year, my husband and I and the kids, and she was called a landrace, which they call them bacon hogs because they're real long with big floppy ears. Well, she had a litter of 11 piglets. And I hadn't sold them all yet, and we were going to send her to market, and while my neighbor bought most of those piglets, well, I'll be doggone if we didn't take them all up to the neighbors, and some guy came by the next day, and he wanted a couple of those feeder pigs, And so I said, okay, but they're up at the neighbor's. He bought them. You'll have to get them from him. Well, if you've ever chased a piglet around a pig pen, let me tell you, I was sliding through pig
Blessings.
yeah, mud, pig poop. I mean,
yeah.
I was covered in pig,
Trying to catch a little pig.
but we caught him.
That's the old that's the old saying. That's where the old saying come from, a greased pig.
It was, I mean, it was hilarious. I was just covered with mud and water, but he got his couple pigs anyway. But yeah, pigs are very intelligent animals. You know, if you have a pig that you're raising, they stay in one spot to use the bathroom. If you keep their pen clean, they will only go into one spot
They're
to
the
the
cleanest
bathroom.
farm animal there
And
is.
people think pigs are dirty, but
Nope.
they're not. It's what you feed them and keep
Yep.
their area clean and yeah.
Because they do. They eat in one corner,
Yeah.
they sleep in one corner, and
Yeah.
they mess in
Yeah.
the other.
Yeah, so
And they're very clean.
yeah. But yeah, and having your own homegrown pork chops, and of course if you saw the wood cook stove when you were at my house before.
Oh, they did.
And that stove was going day and night practically on the farm. And when the lard was ready, of course, you cut the best fat off the pig. You throw it in the big kettle on the back of the wood cook stove, and then it's not as hot there, but it slowly melts down without burning. And pretty soon you have pure white lard that you strain out into cheesecloth.
And when you strain those cracklings from that lard, they're
Yeah.
fantastic.
I know, it's
Love them.
I know lard makes the best pie crust, but they tell you it hasn't been as good for us as what their fake shortenings are. But now they're discovering lard and butter in moderation
Is better than
is
the
better
other.
than the fake stuff for our bodies.
I've always ate real butter.
Oh, yeah. You gotta have a cracker.
Now, I haven't always used lard, but I've always used real butter.
Well, out on the farm, I use lard for everything. Well, over 10 years, so yeah, makes everything taste good.
Yeah.
So now it's olive oil.
Yep, I use a lot of olive oil.
So I like the flavor.
I know it's good. It's good, but I know a lot of people. I notice there's a lot of recipes that call with canola oil.
Oh,
I don't know what it is, but I cannot eat canola oil.
well,
I would roll around in agony for days. If I
one
ate
thing
canola
they
oil.
say about canola oil, and I have not researched this much, that it can cause inflammation in our body.
Ooh,
For some reason, it must be the plant that's.
doesn't it come from like a yellow flower?
Yeah, it's a plant-based. I
Oil.
can't. Yeah, I don't remember the name. And then soybean oil, which everybody says is really, really good for you. I'm not so sure about that. They're doing more studies on
I know when
soybeans.
you've got thyroid disorders, you're not supposed to eat soybeans.
Yeah,
It's
because it's
not good,
a
yeah.
lot of hormonal changes.
It's
can
not
be-
good. I don't eat soybean, not intentionally anyway.
Well, and I think corn oil is pretty good, but everything in corn is genetically modified anymore, unless you're doing organic,
Yeah,
of course.
I just stick to olive oil and pure old plain old vegetable oil.
Yeah.
You know,
So
and not a blend. I don't do a blend. Yeah, but there's safflower oil, canola oil,
Peanut
corn
oil,
peanut
peanut
oil,
oil, that's a-
grapeseed oil,
Peanut-
avocado oil's good.
oh yes, some of the oils are quite expensive,
Very.
but myself, I buy just for olive oil. I use extra virgin for sautéing a little bit and stuff, or baking and cooking egg in or whatever.
Ooh, that's what I do when I make my. I'll make a little hash brown in my cast iron pan
Yeah.
with a little dot of olive oil.
Yeah.
Oh, it turns out good. Oh yeah. So anyway, I think we got. We were telling them don't be afraid of off-brand foods. Yeah, off-brand
Yeah.
foods are just as good. You're
Yeah.
you're only paying for the name.
Yes.
And not only that, but if you notice on that box, if you're not 100% satisfied, it's a money back guarantee.
Yeah.
Or it's guaranteed. So you can call the company or you can take it back to the store and tell them you weren't satisfied with it. They'll either give you the money back or you'll get a coupon. So you'll get your money back one way or the other if you don't like it.
Yeah.
It's not.
Ah, yes. What was that? Single serving food?
Yep, avoid single serving snacks.
Well, when the little town I live in there in Coatmish, and Renee, it's probably the same here, we have family stores.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go in the store, it's similar to buying food at a party store.
Yep.
And if you want some fruit or something, say, and they have it already cut up into a plastic container,
Yep.
it's pretty awful for the price. You can buy a whole huge melon for what they charge just for a few pieces in a plastic container.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's like, get a whole piece of fruit, you know, or like a whole, if you have kids.
See, that's what I wrote in here. I'll give them a sneak
Yeah.
thing. The exact words are avoid single serving snacks. They are way too expensive, and it is much cheaper to buy a larger size and divide it down to single serving yourself.
Yes, because they're charging you for the labor that it took the store to pay somebody to do the cutting up of that food.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep. And I got another one that people don't always think of. Can you read that?
Oh, yes. Leftover day.
Leftover days.
That's every other day at our house.
A lot of people never, you'll see some people, oh, look at my meal plan I put together. But I notice on there's nothing, what are you going to do with your leftovers? Unless you're going to freeze, which is a good idea.
Yeah.
If you're going to, every day after you're done eating, take care of those leftovers. Don't leave them hanging in the fridge, hanging around in the fridge till the end of the week to decide what you're going to do with them. Take them and freeze them. Unless you know you're going to take it for work tomorrow or whatever, you know.
For lunch,
Yeah.
Good idea. Or most people take, my daughter who works in an office, she takes her leftovers for her lunch the following day. So it works good for her.
Yeah, and I don't know how some people work it. I don't know how they do it. But with me and my family, and I don't even know how you do it, I usually freeze everything right away, except like we got the meatloaf in there. That's for sandwiches tonight.
Yes.
But normally I don't let anything sit in my fridge beyond 3 days.
Correct, and that's pretty much what we do, because we do have the leftovers for lunch, or we'll wait a day in between and have leftovers the second day, if I don't freeze them.
Yep.
And you might find yourself a little bits of pieces in your freezer that every now and then you gotta
You
look
just
in there.
take them out, heat them up, and have a variety day.
Yeah, make your own
Leftover recipe.
Meals on Wheels, you know, or what do you call those? TV dinners. That's
TV
it.
dinners, yep. Meals on Wheels, that's about what it's like, yep.
We might have ate a TV dinner now and then. Even my children, they'd beg me, Mom, please, could we have some Kraft macaroni and cheese once in a while?
Oh, you know what I was telling my mom the other day? We were laughing because I told her, when I was little, my favoriteest thing in the world was banquet chicken and pot pies.
Oh, pot pies,
Pot pies.
It's the crust that tastes so good.
It was just wonderful. Anyway, Mama never bought that stuff. Once in a while, she would buy a pot pie.
I never did either.
Never, but I used to always beg her. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. That and banquet chicken pot pies, and we were laughing at her. I says, now, she eats a pot pie now and then. And macaroni and cheese was the other thing.
Yeah.
You never saw a box of that in our house anywhere.
No,
Nowhere.
we did it the old-fashioned way.
And now she eats the heck out of it.
Yeah.
She says, well, and hamburger helper was the other thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that was garbage. You didn't. But my mom, that's how I learned how to cook so well.
Yeah.
Because my mom was a fabulous cook, and all her brothers and sisters, you know,
Yeah.
and my grandma.
Yeah.
And nothing. My grandma would make hamburger helper that would make your mouth water, you
Yeah.
know. But, so that's why my mom never bought stuff like that. But it's like she said the other day, it's really come a long way.
Yeah, some of the food is good. The problem is the additives. Like my neighbor, which I'll talk about him one of these days, and I'll tell you a story about butter. Butter, real butter. Anyway, he just made everything from scratch. I don't care what it was. He would can everything and make everything from scratch. So he was one of my mentors who taught me so much about everything. And some of those stories I had, I mean, honestly, it would just, you'd lay on the ground, roll over and start laughing, you couldn't help it.
Yeah. Yep.
What time is it?
It's noon. We've been at this for almost an
Oh,
hour.
we have? Maybe I should think about,
We can be done.
okay.
We can be done.
We haven't
We
gone-
got to the last of it anyway. We did
Oh, we
hit
did?
all these, yeah.
Okay.
And don't shop hungry. That's the only thing we left out. Don't shop hungry.
Oh.
Always have a snack before
Unless you go to Sam's Club, because they're serving food at every corner up there.
Yeah.
So I had a friend when I worked with at the hospital, and before he came to work at 2:30 every day, he would always make his stop at Sam's Club and have all their snacks up and down the aisle. So that was his
Oh, yeah.
whole lunch. I mean,
Yeah.
and sometimes go back twice, he said.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's not a good idea to shop hungry, because then you're impulsively buying.
Oh yeah, you're gonna
things.
buy everything in your path.
Yeah,
And
sweets.
blow the hell out of your
Yeah.
budget.
Sweets are the biggest thing.
Yeah. And the other thing, real quick, before we gotta go, is the store savings cards. Like Meyer, what is it Meyer called?
Yeah.
Meyer Bucks? No, I don't know. But a lot of them will have, I mean, Family Fare does,
Yeah.
Olson's isn't no more, but Myers has store cards. And it's just the card that you sign up for your address, your
You
phone
might
number.
get 10% off certain.
Yeah,
certain
you
days.
save,
Yeah.
and there might be stuff that's on sale only with your
Card.
Yes card
Yeah.
or your Meyer
Yeah.
card or whatever.
Yeah.
Those are what you always want to partake in.
Yeah.
Because you can get extra savings and discounts at the register.
Right.
So I guess, friends, we are done for today. We can't chit chat. We can sit here all day and chit chat.
Oh my goodness, how much fun is this? It's like, yeah, before we know it, the whole day could pass by and
Oh yeah.
just
And-
talk about so many different things.
Yep. And everything that all our little tips and stuff come out of my cookbook that I told you yesterday that I'm working on them. I'm about halfway done with it. But all these little tips are all I'm going to be in my cookbook too. So, there you have it. I guess we're done,
Yeah.
and we had fun, and we hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was great fun. Thanks for sharing with us, or letting us share with you again. There's a lot more stories coming.
We will definitely do this again. Oh, and Miss Mo, I told you guys yesterday that I was invited to do a collaboration for my favorite holiday dessert. The camera shut off. We're sorry, but we're gonna do our collaboration on what are we making?
Pumpkin rolls for
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, and also pumpkin rolls. They're not hard. They're a beautiful dessert. You can freeze them. They freeze well. So we're gonna do a pumpkin rolls. Few of them soon.
My Susie's out there glaring at me. 'Cause
I know how to make them, Susie.
she won't.
Okay, because as long as I'm not giving up my recipe.
She won't give me a recipe.
That's okay. It's okay. It's just a little sponge cake and.
Aw. Anyway, okay, so that's it. We're gonna go. Thanks for watching, and that collaboration video we got to have done by the 18th of November, so we'll have to get going on it eventually. So,
Yeah, sooner than later.
so
Thank you. Bye now.
Thanks, Ron. Yep. See you later, and we'll see you tomorrow.
That was great fun.